So Shane, last week we were at GAM together.
Yep.
This week we were at a meeting of all of our global internal audit leaders. And we've been talking a lot about technology innovation and where that's leading us. And that's led us to some questions about what does that mean for our workforce and for our clients' workforce.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit of your thoughts on how you're thinking about it?
Yeah, listen, I think AI was, as we've spoken about, was the top topic in both GAM and then our meeting with global leaders. And I think people are viewing it more than a trend and as a true generational change. And as you start thinking about it, one of the big questions that comes to mind is like, what will our workforce look like? How will that change things? And listen, to be honest, right, we're looking at that both in terms of our business and how we serve our clients and what are the skills and the people we need to go to market and be with our clients and help them along. But I think it's also something where our clients have, internal audit, second line functions they're thinking about, or they should be thinking about, like, how does this impact us? And I think, historically, some of these trends, have this kind of curve where people get a lot excited about it. And then, kind of that excitement settles down. It takes a while for the change really to come to fruition. But I think we're just seeing that curve of excitement, then maybe a little dip, but then pushing back up with all the advances. I think we're seeing that happen. So this to me is not like what's workforce look like in 10 years? It's more in my head like, what does workforce look in, the next 18 months? How does it look at 3 years? And how does it look at 5 years?
Yeah.
And those may be all different answers, in that time frame.
Yeah, I see that happening almost real time as our clients are thinking about what are value-added what are the value-added activities that they focus on, and what are the things that they can leverage technology for.
That's right.
Do you think we'll see that change in a year?
I do. We're seeing things and we're doing things now that are changing the nature of our business. Let's take something simple like getting an understanding of a process. We've always had a meeting to understand the process, but then there would be some work on the back end to do some documentation, to describe that process, flow charts. We'd work with our offshore centers to get some of that done. I see that changing pretty dramatically where that can happen much more efficiently. And so the good news there is that's freeing up some of our people's time to think about higher value activities other than just taking, a process we learned about in a meeting and putting that into a narrative, which we might say is it's valuable as it and it's needed. But if we can take that off our plates as a manual activity, that again frees us up to do different things. Yeah,
we've talked a lot about business acumen over the past few weeks too. So I think there's opportunity for our teams and for our clients' team to really up their business acumen so that they are more pointed with these tools.
That's right.
And to your point, we're reducing that kind of the churn and burn type activities.
And listen, these changes, I talk about AI, but we also talk about what's going on geopolitically, what's going on with digital transformation. These are risks that are evolving. And, as I sit here in the risk profession, and I think about the impact of AI, I think it takes some of the less value add, but like the risks are changing. And I think that time could be better deployed to taking on some of these new risks. There's, you see a lot of articles out there around, hey, what's the nature of work going to be? Is my job going to go away? And one of the things that I think about often is that we're risk professionals, and no matter what happens with AI, no matter what happens with technology, there's always going to be risk in business. There's always going to be risk in the corporate world and society. And so I actually get excited to be able to free up time to take on some of those risks and provide a point of view to the board and to management.
Yeah, to always be on the front end of what's coming next. That's a lot of our role and a lot of our jobs and what our clients should be thinking about, and that doesn't go away.
And I encourage, we talk with our people, making sure they have the mindset of being a risk professional to understand what's going on in society, to understand what's going on in the economy. And I feel like AI is going to free up time to be able to do some of that, where maybe historically some of these activities would dominate the day of somebody who's new to the firm and learning the business. The ability to accelerate that and then free up time to take on some of these other challenges is going to be, I think, eye-opening for our people, and it's going to make life a little bit more exciting for them.
Mm-hmm. But a big challenge for them too at the same time.
Absolutely, and it starts to influence, who we hire, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd say the same thing for our clients. It's the skill set may be a little bit different in terms of. I think like a creative mindset, an interest in risk broadly is going to be really important. I think accounting majors will always have a place for us, but I think it opens up the aperture of people who just want to help their clients or help corporations manage risk as a whole.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Shane, for your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.